Katie Cavadini, author of the beautiful Behold the Wonder. Welcome to Ave Explores.
Hey, thanks for having me, Katie. It's good
This
to
is
be here.
so beautiful. And when I got it in the mail, Ave releases a collection of Advent books
Mhm.
every year, and they're like, "All right, which one do you want to do for the series?" I said, "No questions asked. This is the one I want to do this year." Because it's not really like anything we've had before. Yes, there's visual images in other ones, but you actually, like, I was reading the chapter that we're going to talk about in depth today, and I was like, "Oh, they gave us a reverse visitation." I don't think I've ever thought about the reverse visitation. Like, I've only thought about her going. I haven't really thought about her coming back. So tell us kind of the structure of each chapter and how somebody could use it day to day.
Yeah, okay. So the baseline for every chapter is the scripture from the lectionary. So the book will give you the scripture from the lectionary that we chose. Most often, at least until we get to the birth of Christ, we're looking at texts from the Old Testament. We're looking at primarily Isaiah, right? Who's sort of, sometimes scholars call him the fifth gospel. Yeah. So that's what you'll find first is that you'll have the scripture there that the lectio and the visio invite you to meditate upon yourself. Now, one worry I had when I was writing the book, Katie, is that I'm being imaginative, right? So when you enter into the lectio divina, when you yourself are reading that scripture and sort of meditating on it and going over it and seeing really what stands out to you and what images start to open up in your mind and what kind of scene comes together there, that's me, right? That's me imagining. Whenever
Mm-hmm.
I do that, I try to do it with the heart of the church, right? With the mind of the church. So what are ways the church has thought about this text before in reference to Our Lady, and then try to kind of work from there. So the Lectio, you'll see me doing that, but there's a guide that comes just before the Lectio. And so it will tell you, basically what I'm telling you, these are the things I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Right? So these are ways that your imagination can also open up when you read them, right? What I'm thinking is not what happened exactly, right? It's not what you need to imagine,
Mm-hmm.
although you can imagine it with me, so as to see how Lectio works, right? So kind of try your hand on it or see what someone else did with it. And there's questions there that will also lead you through your own Lectio. And then the Visio Divina comes, again with questions you might ask. If Tess were here, which she's not because she's teaching high school art right now, she would tell you, look, I worked hard, Tess, to put together images that are not the usual ones you see.
Right.
My meditations aren't the usual ones you would read or hear, and her images are not the usual ones you would see. They're meant to ask your mind to kind of grapple with what's on the page, to follow the lines, to follow the movement, to look at the color, and to let your own mind sort of
Mm-hmm.
be opened up from the things you typically see. Because she says, if you see what you typically see in an image, your brain won't do that. Like your brain just, that's how it works, it won't do it. And so if the goal is to help someone develop their prayer life, well, then we need to find images and words that will let them open up in ways
Yeah.
they maybe weren't looking for or didn't expect.
Yeah. A little more, maybe loose isn't the right word, but my mom collects nativity sets. She
Yeah,
has since I was a kid.
yeah.
And I have favorite ones, and I have ones that I'm like, not my favorite, but like I kind of have this built-in this is what a nativity set is supposed to look like, which I feel like as happy as I am that I've seen so many versions of them, I'm also kind of like, oh no, I've been locked into this is what a nativity set has to be. And so I
Mm.
really appreciate like the image for this first week, or well, the first week of Advent. It's not our first episode. We did an episode last week, but it's it's like a countryside vision.
Yeah.
I really appreciated the colors are quite vibrant. You're not always able to capture. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous, and like the wheat and like there's a picture. Have you seen the picture of Pope Leo out in the wheat field out by Vatican Radio? Have you seen this picture? There's a picture
No, I
of
should
Pope
look for
Leo,
it though.
like he's like Midwest boy in this wheat field, like reaching out to a stalk of wheat. And my brain immediately, as I'm flipping through, is like, oh, Pope Leo would appreciate this picture because he,
Well,
he was
good.
out in the wheat field. And like that's what I think this kind of art does. It kind of gives you this loose platform upon which to stand. I feel very stable standing on the platform, but I'm not locked in. I'm not buckled into this is the only thing that I can think of. And so I appreciate that. It makes it quite unique. Let's talk about week one and the first week of Advent, which I loved the intro, which kind of reminds us like, okay, we're beholding the incarnation, the most significant moment in all of human history. Now look at some flowers. And it actually gave me a really beautiful, like, Did you get flowers when your babies were born? Did anybody bring you flowers?
Um, a lot of balloons as so like my third kid, my kids all got these like balloon bouquets because
Yeah.
people were like, "Oh, the older kids will play with the balloons," and they did. They had a fantastic time. And I think I got like one of those cookie bouquets, but I
Yeah.
don't remember any flowers. So,
A priest friend of mine sent
yeah.
us flowers when my second was born. And my second was born in kind of a weird, she was a COVID baby, and it was when we were evacuated for a hurricane. The most impractical thing in the world to send somebody who's just had a baby in somewhat traumatic circumstances is flowers. And yet I was really grateful for them because they were something beautiful to look at
Yeah.
in my grandfather's bedroom that we'd commandeered when we were evacuated to his home. So I that's what I see. Like these images don't actually lead you to necessarily just reflecting on the nice little cookie cutter thing that you could
Hmm.
reflect upon. But I mentioned it a second ago. So chapter 2, which is the first Sunday of Advent in Behold the Wonder,
Yeah.
you give us, and I'm going to call it this affectionately, the reverse visitation. It's Mary walking home, which I don't think we think about a whole lot. Kind of lead me into what your thinking was as you were reflecting on this passage and writing for us.
Yeah, okay. So part of what I was thinking of was just like the journey aspect of the book,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because you're walking with Mary. She's sort of guiding you. She's helping you to see Christ as he arrives into the world. And so the other one you were talking about with the flowers, so the first week, which is like a preparation week, right? It's on the Annunciation. And so that iris there is Our Lady. And I didn't realize this till yesterday myself, looking at the image. But Tess told me that how the irises leave the petals are out like this, right? It's meant to mimic like a prayer position.
Oh, yeah.
The little orans there. Okay, so there we have the Annunciation, which helps us think about the moment of the Incarnation. And so I'm thinking, well, Mary has to journey. So when we get to the next one, we've skipped a lot of time
Yeah.
from March until December or end of November. And so I thought, well, how can I help us sort of fill in the gap or sort of walk a little bit more with her through more of the journey itself?